Good morning and happy Christmas Eve. Today I'm going to finish up my candies and get my carrot cakes done. So today I am going to do my caramel mixed nut clusters. You're going to need caramel bits or caramels. I use the bits. It's just easier to melt and less hassle, honestly. You're going to need a block of the microwavable chocolate almond bark and a container of your mixed nuts. You can also use peanuts, you can use cashews, whatever you prefer. I just like doing the mixed nuts. I'm also going to go ahead and I am going to do some pralines. And what you're going to need for that is you're going to need about a cup and a half of sugar, white sugar, and a cup and a half of your packed brown sugar. I just usually fill the cups all the way to the top. That's just kind of how I measure it. You're going to need a cup of milk, whole milk, or if you have heavy cream, you can use that. I forgot to get heavy cream, so milk's just fine. And 5 tablespoons of butter, of unsalted butter, and you're going to need about 1/4 of a teaspoon. I usually just sprinkle some salt in there. If you do have salted butter, you can use that. If you do use salted butter, do not add extra salt to it. So what I'm going to get started with is I'm going to get started with the pralines, because that's easier and is less setup time. And of course, you're going to need your parchment paper, a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. Let me get this started. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're getting our pralines started. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to put in your butter, your sugars, brown sugar, and your white sugars, and your milk. We're going to get this stirred up. And you're going to need to let this melt, mix up, and come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we're going to let it boil for a minute before we add in our other ingredients. So let me get this started boiling, and I will be right back. Sorry, I'm a little bit frazzled today because I got, a lot going on, and tomorrow's Christmas, so yay. I forgot to say to add in your salt. So your salt, again, is 1/4 of a teaspoon, or just, I don't know, just like 3 or 4 shakes of salt. You don't need a whole lot. You just need a little bit to kind of, because, pralines are sweet, and I did use unsalted butter in here. So, again, I'm going to let this melt down and come to a boil, and I will be back. Okay, so once it's all melted and it comes to a boil, you're going to want it to let it boil for 1 minute. No, don't stir it anymore for 1 minute. And this is on a medium high heat. It really depends on your stove if you need it on a medium or medium high, but you're going to need to let it boil for 1 minute. Okay, so once it's boiled for 1 minute, you're going to take it off the heat, and that's when you're going to add in your 1 teaspoon. I always just do, pull that where you can see. I always do just a little over a capful in there. Pull that off the heat a little bit more. And then I always add in a couple of drops of almond. If you watch me more than a second, you know I love me some almond. So about 1/2 teaspoon of almond. You're going to stir that in. And then you're going to add your pecans. Now I did 2.5, close to 3 cups of pecans, and you're just going to continue stirring this. It's going to take a couple of minutes, but make sure you just keep stirring it, and it'll start to thicken fairly quickly. So I'm going to stir this up until it gets nice into the thickness I want, but probably 2 to 3 minutes. So let me just get this finished stirring up, and then I will show you what it needs to look like before you start putting it on to your baking sheet. Okay, y'all, I have been stirring this stuff for about 10 minutes, because if you've ever tried to make divinity or candy when it's humid outside, you will know it doesn't want to set correctly. So I have had to stir vigorously to try to get this, and turn my heater on in the house to get the dampness out the air. So after all that, I think that it's finally ready to scoop up. So just know, make sure your house isn't humid when you go to do this. It's not cloudy outside. And you stir vigorously until you get it to where it's thick enough to, let me show you. So it's thick enough to kind of scoop up, and you're going to use a spoon or whatever you want to use. I'm just using this ice cream scoop. So I'm going to get these scooped up and pray that they set. I have stirred and stirred until my arm feels like it's going to fall off. And again, at first I was wondering, this is not working, and I didn't understand. And then I was like, it is cloudy outside, and I'm in the South, and it is literally like 70 degrees and damp. So yeah, they didn't want to, it didn't want to thicken like it should. So I have stirred and stirred and stirred and stirred and stirred until I think I think this is going to set up. So if it doesn't, though, I will be honest, and I will come back and show y'all. So fingers crossed. Toes, everything else, please, please. I don't want to waste all these pecans, but it can be salvaged. So even if it doesn't set up right now. So let me finish getting these out on the pan and cooling. They'll take about 30 minutes, and I will. Oh, my prayers were answered after turning on the heat and stirring that for 10 minutes, because you have to constantly stir it. That is another thing. Once you take it off the fire and it's cooling, you have to stir until it starts to thicken. So it did. Y'all, it's set up. I am so excited. I'm gonna taste it. I haven't tried it yet. Y'all, so good. Yes, there we go. Now, so just a little hint. Also, if you have, instead of milk, if you have cream or heavy cream, it would probably help thicken it faster and a little bit better than using regular milk. I usually do use cream. I didn't have any, so I tried the milk. So I would recommend cream or heavy cream instead of the milk. Milk you can do in a pinch, but maybe if you do that, add a little bit more brown sugar, a little bit more sugar to help thicken it. But yes, it did set. But remember, if it's humid, if it's damp outside, then it's going to take longer for your candy to set. Turn your heater on, make sure there's no dampness in the air, and then you should be good to go. So, if y'all have any questions, let me know. If not, enjoy, y'all. Next up, I'm going to be doing my caramel clusters, and those should set up.